Ladies and gentlemen, Big Harold News.
Kia ora koutou te whānau. Welcome back to another edition of Big Harold News. Hey Chewy, how are you, mate?
You said the troubling name, Harold.
Why is that a troubling name?
Who here was taught how the human body works by an animatronic giraffe
Yes.
in a dark trailer?
Oh,
But you describe that to people from another country. That sounds unhinged.
yeah.
Saying it out now it sounds a bit weird.
Hey B man, how's your day? Busy?
Oh, busy. So many old people. So many
Not enough
problems.
time. I've got this thing, right, and you've already seen it, Chewy. A little piece of merch. Now, our regular designer, our local designer, our staff designer. Actually, we've got two staff designers, which is kind of cool. One of them, the mighty Emily, gave us some hints to make our stuff better. But I kind of want to share it just to show people what we've done so far. But then I'm not actually showing them the final product. How do you feel about that?
Confused.
Because it looks pretty cool. So I mean, like a professional group wouldn't put out a product when it wasn't quite in its final stage. But I guess I kind of want to show people version 1, and then tomorrow we might have the final product.
As long as they don't tell anyone, I suppose.
Okay. Shh, okay. I want to see everyone, please raise your hand up. I swear not to tell anyone about what I'm about to see. That'll cover us, eh? We covered?
It's boiler tight.
Because, you know, what are we thinking? There's going to be a few changes. Emily suggested a few changes. The changes are actually very subtle. You may not notice them very much. So that's pretty much the.
I see what you've done there with the colours.
You like that?
I see it. I acknowledge it.
Yeah. Now, if Emily's watching, one of the things Emily suggested that we do is reverse these V's here to be like dark to light. But the thing is, we're being a little bit careful. The New Zealand First logo is dark to light. So we've gone light to dark on purpose.
And this has nothing to do with them, right?
No, and I wouldn't want anyone to think that we were representing them in any shape, way, shame whatsoever. So, yeah, some of the other suggestions that she has come up with are very, very good, and we're going to implement a couple of them. But there you go. That will probably be available. Yeah, we spent a long time on this today, whānau. Like me and the missus worked tirelessly in between kisses and cuddles and all things that married people do. You know, that's just a normal day. But that's probably going to be on the store tomorrow night. Ooh. I should do like the first, but I should put like a special on that only has like 3 things. So the first 3 to buy get 20% off or something like that. That'd be funny, eh?
The first one has a Tim Tam wrapped up in the package when you get it.
So the reason we're getting onto this, and I also looked at that Chewy and I thought, oh my gosh, that would be such a good enamel and a brilliant sticker. So I am going to do some phoning around, or technically emailing around tomorrow to my contacts that have done our other stuff and see what kind of time frame they've got. Because in case you're unaware, this one has a bit of a time frame on it. It will run out at some stage. So we don't want to have, you may not pick up, that might be too subtle to pick up on, but there is a timetable on that. So if you're wondering and you want to keep an eye on it, that will end up being here up on our shop, which is right there. And yeah, Rawiri said to me last week, he used the slogan. He said, oh yeah, we want to ditch the pricks. Did you see that part of the interview? And then he kind of laughed at me and he said, it's a good slogan. So like, okay. Hint, got the hint. So this is where it'll be eventually, tomorrow, probably tomorrow. with all the cups and all the other stuff are there as well. Thank you, Citizen Gold. It's the pricks in 269 days. Yeah, you can go there and check it out. And huge thanks to all of our patrons. As I said to you guys last night, I've had a huge balls up that I've lost all the credits. The program that held all the credits, they're all dispersed. I'm going to have to try and rebuild all the credits. It took me a whole day to do them this time, to clean them up. So I'm hoping it's not going to take quite that long when I do it for a second time. So those of you who have joined up in the last couple of weeks aren't on the credits yet. I'll give you all a brand new shout out again next week. But the credits are going to be as they are this week until we get through it. So thank you for the people who have joined up. Thank you for being a part of who we are. Good to see that conspiracy theorists around the country are now talking about us on Facebook, up there with RNZ, TVNZ, and all the other far left media which can't be trusted in New Zealand. We've made it, Chewy. We've made it.
I was pretty chuffed with that.
Yeah, it's funny, eh? If you don't know what we're talking about, go to the Facebook page. You have to scroll back a few to see. I put it up there. It's pretty hilarious. And what the most hilarious thing was, I actually engaged with it, which I don't do a lot of, but they talked about us claiming to be outside the mainstream media and us claiming to be independent. But all we really do is offer opinions first and facts second. And I kind of went, well, we're an opinion-based news commentary show, so it's sort of, it's in the description. And basically, I'm assuming it's a he, it's just a name, but probably a guy, maybe not. Could be
Always a he.
Yeah, it's true. Talked about, these places should be more like Annie O'Brien, Duncan Garner, and The Platform.
So you want us dumber? Oh, I can do dumber.
That was very funny. On the Facebook page, you'll see it. I put a screenshot. It's kind of hilarious. All right, team. So tonight we've got a bit of a higgledy-piggledy old day. I want to talk about this very cynical COVID inquiry that the government has announced. Winston Peters, we talked a bit about this last night. I really honestly think it's worth visiting, and I was a bit concerned that it would kind of get swept away. But, for those of you who are too young to remember, Winston Peters is standing in front of the cameras. I should probably have got the video, and talking about how he can be trusted. He is not interested in the baubles of office, to which he then took every single bauble he was entitled to and probably some more. So it's something that stuck with him. And I talked last night about the new baubles he's taking this time around, allegedly. The accusations from others. We're just reporting on the accusations, Mr. Peters, that there are baubles galore. For Mr. Peters. And I guess what we describe a bauble as it's something that you are entitled to, but you don't necessarily need to take, and especially in a climate of cost of living crisis and stuff, some would say taking some of these baubles might be a little bit sticking the middle finger up to the public of New Zealand. That would be kind of how I think about it, Chewy. So we'll have a look at that. Also, the Salvation Army State of the Nation report came out today. Was pretty awful. I contacted the Sallies, but they couldn't get anyone on for us, but we'll have a look at it anyway. And I've also grabbed, Chewy, some of the footage and commentary we started last night about the protests in Sydney over the weekend, because we haven't actually touched on that either. So bit of a yesterday we saw this, and in the weekend this happened, and today this happened. A bit of a higgledy-piggledy old show, but she's going to be fun, and I'm looking forward to it. What do you reckon, Chewy? Should we rip? Should we rip shit and bust?
Yes. Let's go and do the thing.
Let's have a look at Winston Peters, shall we? So Winston Peters was recently in Saudi Arabia for official business. At least we thought that was the case. Before some very intrepid journalists from TVNZ, I believe it was, did a little bit of Official Information Act breakdown as to why Mr. Peters went to Saudi Arabia and for what reason, and this is what they found.
Winston Peters has come out swinging after questions over the timing of an overseas trip to coincide with a Joseph Parker fight.
Now, look, the other thing is, politicians, MPs, ministers do this all the time. They go to the Rugby World Cup. No, it's a part of what they do. But normally it's planned and it's put into their time, and there's a reason for them to be there. They're the Minister of Tourism, so they go to England and they watch rugby, or it's the Prime Minister and they're having meetings whilst they're there. So if you're going somewhere already and there happens to be a New Zealand event on, yeah, of course, you go to it. You sit in the stand, you do the politician thing. The problem would be if you weren't planning on going there and then got asked by an athlete to come and then your team, your staff, started planning you how to get there, almost allegedly like you want to go to the event, and so you're fitting other things around it rather than you should be going for the things, the political events, and maybe fitting the sporting event in. The accusation is it's reversed.
Like a really good example here would be, we wouldn't be talking about this if it was Mark Mitchell, who's the Minister of Sport.
Sure, yeah. Well,
that would make sense, right?
It would make sense, although a professional boxing fight, people might go, it's not really a New Zealand representative. It was the All Blacks or the New Zealand Silver Ferns or something, maybe. But yeah, but there'd be more of it. Now, the other thing it's going to tell you here is they say he was there for the racing because he is the racing minister. But as you see, as we play the story through, even his own correspondence from his staff kind of makes it pretty clear that the racing was very secondary. It was the Joseph Parker fight. That's why he was there, allegedly.
Documents released to One News show within hours of the boxer inviting Peters to the bout in Saudi Arabia, the foreign minister's staff directed officials to prepare a visit to the Middle East. Here's a very busy Benedict Collins.
So, invitation, within hours, staff goes, oh, we've probably got some things we should go and check out in the Middle East after the boxing invitation.
Again with the exclusive details.
As our heavyweight boxer entered the arena in Riyadh,
He's the global people's champion, Joseph Parker.
he was closely watched by a special guest, Winston Peters. He had a front row seat to take in the action.
Your trip to Saudi Arabia last year.
Issues out there that we need to be paying attention to, and so rearranging your travel to go to a
That jumped in a funny way. Let's go back because I don't know what happened. That's the TVNZ website. We'll go back and we'll go from here.
Joseph Parker.
He was closely watched by a special guest, Winston Peters. He had a front row seat to take in the action.
Your trip to Saudi Arabia last year.
issues out there that we need to be paying attention to, and so
Something has happened there to the TVNZ footage. I'm intrigued by that because the reporter said to him, I'm just saying this with you guys. Well, was that all organised to be? And he, of course, went, what's a bloody stupid question? What makes you think that question?
Of course.
And then the reporter says, well, you got the invitation, then you went. That's all gone. Now, is that cut or is that just gone? It looks like it's been cut out. I'm just going to do one thing. Sorry, Fano, because I want to make, if it's there, I'm going to just refresh the page and we'll push play
Very
again.
strange.
Because if it's been cut out, that would be really weird, almost conspiratorial. We'll go one more time. We're going to go from the start. I apologise about this, but we want to get this right if it's there.
Winston Peters has come out swinging after questions over the timing of an overseas trip to coincide with a Joseph Parker fight. Documents released to One News show within hours of the boxer inviting Peters to the bout in Saudi Arabia, the foreign minister's staff directed officials to prepare a visit to the Middle East. Here's a very busy Benedict Collins again with the exclusive details.
As our heavyweight boxer entered the arena in Riyadh,
He's the global people's champion, Joseph Parker.
he was closely watched by a special guest,
There you go.
Winston Peters. He had a front row seat to take in the action.
Your trip to Saudi Arabia last year, was that a boxing trip kind of dressed up as a foreign minister's trip?
Why do you say a stupid thing like that?
Well, because when Joseph Parker invited you to the...
Being a poor flushing it is your specialty.
Well, I mean, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Was it the foreign trip, the foreign affairs trip, or the boxing match? I think that's the important question because there are really important issues out there that we need to be paying attention to, and so rearranging your travel to go to a boxing match, I don't think that's the one. I don't think taxpayers.
Well, I actually think that our lovely green friend here is wrong. He didn't rearrange his travel. From the report,
He conjured it.
he organised the travel. It wasn't like, oh, we're going to Jordan. Hey, let's stop by Saudi Arabia. It was like, Joseph Parker, would you like to come to our match? And our match, and then he started to organise it. So yeah, I don't consider that a reorganize. At least that's the story we're being told.
Documents obtained by One News, though, show it was no coincidence that Mr. Peters was there. 2 months
fell
before
over.
the fight, our foreign minister was invited to attend the bout in Saudi Arabia. The email from Parker's promoter suggested the Saudi authorities would be
12th of
delighted to
December,
host him.
At
By 5
1:23.
p.m. the same day, Mr. Peters' team let MFAT know he wanted to go.
12th of
Officials
December,
understood
5
Mr.
p.m.
Peters wanted to be ringside if the stars aligned. Even our ambassador to Saudi Arabia swung into action, ensuring the foreign minister was well looked after. Mr. Peters says the main point of his visit wasn't the boxing,
but
going to the races.
But was it?
Poised under James McDonald.
Where Kiwi jockey James McDonald was riding in the Saudi Cup.
He missed by that much, but I'm there to see the Saudi Arabians where they want to buy into the stud farms of New Zealand. That was the major specific part of the...
But was it? I mean, this is the question, but was it? I mean, like, you could actually then make an argument about, yeah, I'm there to watch horse racing. That sounds like a bit of a junket as well. But at least he is the minister for racing. So there is a tacit connection there. But be very clear, Winston's being very strong now. He wasn't there for the boxing. The boxing was maybe a byproduct or a secondary thing. He was there for the racing. That was his main purpose. Or was it?
Of that trip, and happened to coincide with Joseph Parker as well.
Officials, though, described attending the Saudi Cup races as a pre-Parker fight option for the minister.
Actually, if there was an invitation which was to a boxing match, and he went to the boxing match and rearranged everything around the boxing match, those are important questions that there needs to be some accountability for as well.
Mr. Peters also popped up at another Joseph Parker fight last year while on an official trip to London. It didn't end so well. Not only did Parker lose, he then tested positive for cocaine. His biggest fan,
Which
though,
I assume
was
Winston
back at
had.
questions about this trip. Benedict Collins, One News.
We're not going there. So there you go. Yeah, the very famous line about baubles of office from Winston Peters is coming back to haunt him. It's a bit like Nicky No Boats, if it looks like a tax and it walks like a tax and it smells like a tax. Things they're saying in the past, these people, that I think they forget that there's these things in front of them, these little square things that record and hold on to everything they've said, because then they might be called out on those words, Chewy.
I just think it's really interesting that when you're asked a question and you've got an incontrovertible reason for doing the thing that you did, is that you don't mention that and you just go on about what a stupid bloody question. Who are you young whippersnapper, to fucking question me what I'm doing? That's a good tactic. It's a good and convincing tactic, which will definitely mean people stop paying attention to what you're doing.
So Winston Peters, I just did a quick search there. I can't see or find quickly the baubles of office comment. Is the accusation is, and we'll use the correct language, which is there is an accusation that Winston Peters wanted to primarily go to a Joseph Parker fight in Saudi Arabia. Okay, Sydney. Sure. Saudi Arabia, yeah, it's a bit more of a junket to get there with your staff and the cost of things. That'll be the next thing I'd like to know. What was the cost of this trip? Because if the primary reason was to go for Joseph Parker and the other stuff was sort of secondary, then that's a holiday. That's not official business. If the primary reason is to go and sell our stud farms to the racing industry over there, and while you're there you catch Joseph Parker, that's a business trip. That's a New Zealand ministerial, that's his job. And it doesn't feel like from the footage we're seeing and the evidence being putting out there, he was doing his job. It seems like he was on holiday. True. Which again would be fine. Well, it would be fine to be on holiday, but on us, whilst at work, pretending he wasn't. This kind of smacks a little bit of being in Hawaii whilst you're releasing videos of yourself in Te Puke. Remember that one?
Do we know how long he was over there for?
I do not.
Because that'd be interesting. Like if he was over there for a week, and they found a couple of events, I think I'd be less concerned about it. But I mean, the main thing's the timing, right? The fact that he wasn't planning the trip until the same day he got the invitation.
Joseph Parker's team said, would you like to come? He wasn't going to Saudi Arabia. 4 hours after that invitation, his office, his staff, were organising him a trip to Saudi Arabia. And I guess I can see like a picture going on, and I'll just say hypothetically, of a staff then going, if we're going to go there to see the boxing, what else can we do while we're there? And it just feels to me that if this was the other way round, if Chloe had gone to an event in Denmark that she wanted to attend, and that was the reason she was going, and at 1 PM this event invited her to be an honoured guest, and at 5 PM her staff was organising trips there, and while she was in Denmark she had a look at some hydropower stuff and thermal power stuff and spoke to the Green Party over there. I don't think people like Winston Peters would go, it's just a wash, it's just a work, happened to set while I was there. I just really don't get the sense that it would be just pushed away so easily by the right. And remember, if any of you are new out here to us, this is our mandate. Our mandate here is to hold this government to the standard they held the last government to, or the standard they set for themselves. Now, you can expand on that a bit and go, if this happened to the other party, what would they be holding account? And in fact, maybe it was more Seymour, but there was a lot of talk around Chloe Swarbrick going business class as well. So, you know.
Yeah, like that's a real interesting one. I was going to mention the couple of mentions I've seen of Chloe traveling business class. I actually have very little problem with someone traveling to the other side of the world on a work trip, traveling business class.
Agreed.
Because it's not a holiday. Like they're there. Like I've done that trip to England in fucking cattle class so many times, and you feel rat shit for about 4 days afterwards. If you were going over on a work trip, you're not getting anything done. You're not getting anything done. So I actually have no problem with that. There's comments in the chat about prime ministers going this, that, and the other way. Again, it's a prime minister. In my mind, they kind of get a pass. They're flying the flag for the entire country. You know, if we criticise Luxon for everything, then we have to criticise Jacinda for doing it.
I don't know.
Job.
I don't know if I quite agree with
you. There's a line there somewhere.
It would depend what they're there for. If John Key went to watch what was his name? David Letterman in the audience because he loved David Letterman, and that was his primary reason to go to was in New York? Was he in New York or Los Angeles?
He was in New York, and I think he was there for the UN or something like that.
But if John Key went because he wanted to see David Letterman, and David Letterman had sent him an invite, and that afternoon his staff had been going, let's get him over there. And while he's there, what else can he do? Because that's what it feels like. I don't think I would agree with you. Now John Key did go over and did other things, and then went on David Letterman and did one of the most embarrassing top 10s ever. But it was the prime minister of New Zealand in front of the world's entertainment media. So he in that instance, Chewy, I agree with you. That's him doing his job, even though we were all mortified by it. That's still him doing his job. Jacinda on Stephen Colbert, another person saying that is them doing their job. And you're right, they're almost the figurehead on some level of the country, so they probably have some more leniency. But I'll say it again. The difference between going to an event you want to see and doing other political stuff while you're there versus going to a part of the world to do political stuff and catching an event, I think that's actually a huge difference. And I do not believe that Seymour, that Winston, that Luxon would give an inch if it was anyone from the other side and the positions had been reversed. I do not. Yeah. I don't give them the grace that they would be there. And I'm a little bit surprised. This has kind of been one story on the news. It's gone now. This is something. It's at least something. It's a story worth pressing Winston on, if nothing else.
But you got to be careful, right? He might angrily slur something at you.
Yeah, it's very slurry.
He's trying to keep his teeth in his mouth.
Should we check out the super chats and stuff, and then we can go look at some other?
Absolutely. I'd love someone to collate a list of how much taxpayer money Winston Peters has spent in his political career.
Gosh. bigger.
Yeah,
We're
big
going
number.
to the
He's been there for a
trillions.
long time.
Yeah. Gosh. Super chats, yeah? Let's see what's going on in there. Well, people have said this as well. Chewy, you said this, replace the 26. I mean, we've looked at that. The spacing's not as good. We may have another look.
To be the statement.
Yeah, we may have a look at it again tomorrow. But that's one of the possibilities as well. So
that's how I say it, ditched at pricks in 26.
Yeah.
But yeah, it sounds better. Maybe it doesn't look better.
Well, that's like we made a design where the colours weren't all quite as unified. They were more sort of individually across the behind each of the words. So the pink was behind the ditch there, and it was just behind that, and it kind of came out, and the letters went, and I liked the look of it much better. But I went, how do you put that on a black T-shirt? Because the lettering is black, and so we made the box. So the way sometimes the design has to pay its way. Doesn't make sense. Sometimes the decisions have to be coming because they're going on a T-shirt. So you take your second favourite option because it's better on a T-shirt than the first favourite. I got polled for the first time today. Oh, I popped your cherry. Had to answer how I thought the current government has been performing. LOL. I wonder what that's like. Being polled by the current government. Sounds horrific. Peter says New Zealand has further slipped in the corruption index. Yeah, that's interesting.
4th year in a row.
Yeah, funny that. Arvids, I think he got confused and went for the racism. And I'll just say, obviously, there was a glitch, so there was nothing wrong with that footage. We just had to refresh for some reason. I don't know. Arvids also says, wait, Mr. Let's Not Sell Our Silverware went to talk selling silverware? That's more of a story, I think. I mean, our racehorse industry has always been world renowned. People from all over the world have always bought New Zealand raised thoroughbreds. So I don't think it's necessarily us selling our silverware. When he says our silverware, I'm more thinking about the things that we own, the government owns, which isn't racehorses and karaka in South Auckland. Here we go. Winston says Trek Nut is different. He has self-entitlement. Thank you, guys, for your super chats. Any other meanderings on that one, Chewy, before we move on?
Oh, just the usual recognition that Winston Peters has been on the public tit for longer than I have been alive.
Yeah, wow. That's fascinating, isn't it? It is a long time.
I won a newspaper essay competition in 1995 writing about Winston Peters stirring up anti-Asian racism and sentiment. And he's still there. He's still giving me an ulcer.
All right. Let us keep trucking. I'm quite proud, quite happy about a thumbnail I made last night. I'll show you the thumbnail first. Mm-hmm. That was a thumbnail. Oh. That was quite a good one.
Funny mouth shapes.
And I think there'll be some other good ones coming out this evening, perhaps. The thumbnails. Every photo, every time they talk to her, there's something going on. And it's not. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not mocking her. It's just she has a very distinct way of moving her mouth, and lots of thumbnails. There's been an announcement made today around COVID. Nicola Willis orders a review into Reserve Bank's pandemic decision. So as the Minister of Finance, she's saying, let's have a look at what happened with the Reserve Bank. This is the TV1 story. I had a look at TV3 as well. It's been such a long time since we've done this. I forget the name of the reporter on TV3 who does politics, who was married to the guy from ACT, who was on 3 before that. Remember her name? Her name eludes me. I'm just going off the... She's a...
Oh, that's escaped me now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been... Because I haven't talked about her since last year. I caught the end of her report on this and the point that she was making, which I think is fair. Jenna Lynch. Thank you, Weka.
Jenna Lynch.
Thank you. The point that she made at the end of her report was, there's nothing wrong with doing this. Why didn't they do it on day 1 rather than year 3? And that's Jenna Lynch. And Jenna Lynch is a reporter. She's a perfectly good reporter. But, I think there's been many times where we've looked at Jenna Lynch's reporting and kind of gone, well, potentially a bit of an angle here, maybe, perhaps, potentially. But Jenna Lynch was going, why, if this is authentic, why wasn't it done in year one? And this is why people are saying it's cynical. It's going to come out just before the election and absolutely ramp up all those. If you can't blame Labor, but you can bring back onto the front pages of our papers and our back into the stories of our television networks, the word COVID for a valid reason, that will fire up a particular base because they're still out there and they are still saying exactly the same things. So let's have a look at what Nicola Willis wants to do or get done to a new COVID inquiry.
A review of the Reserve Bank's monetary response to the COVID-19 pandemic has been ordered by the government, but the timing's been slammed as cynical and manipulative, with the findings due to be made public around 6 weeks out from the general election. Political editor Mikey Sherman reports.
It was a global pandemic which saw borders, businesses and entire cities locked down. At the centre was the government, but also the Reserve Bank.
The purpose of the review is to learn from experience so that future shocks can be navigated in the best possible way. Those who don't learn the lessons of history are doomed to repeat them.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we know. We've been watching you do it for the last 3 years.
That is a great quote to come back again and again and again and again. And I was watching this story and I think Chippy does say this, but I was thinking it at the start. I was going, this to me screams of a government who is actually worried about this election. This to me screams of a government who's going, they all went to Waitangi, Chewy. When we were at Waitangi last year, the top 5 didn't show up. They were all there. All the top 5 were there. We saw Simeon, he was standing at the bar doing this to try and get served a drink. They were all there. And I was like, I asked Chippy, why are they here? And Chippy, politician, went, I'm glad they're here. Fair enough. But I think they were there because they have some concerns and they need to fire up this fear that they got over the line with last time, fear of Māori ownership of the water, fear of labour and inflation, fear of the economy, turning into the 1920s again, fear. And as you get further away from the previous government, you find it harder to go Labor bad. However, if you can put some things in the public mind to make them think again of that fear, i.e. big bad COVID, Jacinda, podium of truth, then that shows to me a weakness and a fear that they have for potentially either how close this government, this election is going to be, or something in their internal polling, which they are going, how do we make sure we stay on? What can we possibly do to win this one? So that speaks volumes to me. It does.
But Labor is crying foul.
This is another exercise in cynical political manipulation by Nicola Willis.
The findings of the review set to be released just 6 weeks out from the election.
Why is it important to learn from the monetary policy choices made in response to the pandemic?
We not accept that it is important to...
For those people who are listening to the audio podcast, the response was yelled across the house because it's an election year, just so we've all got that.
Learn lessons, though.
Oh, of course, and if they wanted to learn the lessons, they could have done that when they first became the government.
Chris Hipkins may be hiding from the COVID inquiry, but he can't hide from this.
Let's point this out. Let's point this out. Chris Hipkins didn't hide from the COVID inquiry. Chris Hipkins, Jacinda Ardern, and some other people said that they wouldn't re-answer the questions. So all of those people sat before the COVID inquiry and asked every question they had. I believe my memory tells me
they ran out of questions.
Some of them ran out of questions, and so the people who offered to be there, like Jacinda and like Chippy, actually left early because the panel ran out of questions. They then said, hey, this is my interpretation, hey, what would be good for us if we asked all those questions again in public so that the public can see what these Jacinda fearful things. And so they approached them all to ask the same questions again in public, and they said, yeah, no, we're not gonna join your circus. So that is 100% disinformation and probably libelous, technically, is what she just said right then, because it was on the tiles as well, not in the house, because they didn't hide from it. They absolutely were a part of it. They refused to participate in the circus part at the end, which is like, you know, the closing, the curtain comes down, the whole thing's finished. It was like the final scene in Avengers. The movie had finished, everything was done, and they just wanted to do one more thing to G up their base one more time. And they were like, yeah, no, we're not going to G up your base one more time. We've done what we need to do. We've done what we need to do. We're not going to do what you want us to do. That's basically what they said, which is fair. Yeah.
COVID hit in 2020, the Reserve Bank lowered the official cash rate to 0.25%. Then, after staying low for a year, inflation began to climb. It took months before the OCR followed suit.
I was thinking, Chewy, you see how that red line there, and this government talks about how terrible. Do you see? I'm just looking at the trajectory of that red line towards the end of the last term. What is the trajectory of that red line? What would you call? Was that kind of stable or up, or would you use a different word?
Look, that's like I see what you're saying there. I acknowledge it. You're saying that happened before National were in government. Now I think
it started before.
It started before, but what I think that is actually just an acknowledgement of how powerful a finance minister Nicola Willis is.
12 months before, you reckon?
Yeah, it just started coming down out of respect.
Yeah.
Out of respect for knowing that Nicola Willis was about to step onto the stage. It's something you can look into a bunch of things that we track. That trend starts before National got there. Out of respect.
Yeah.
Out of respect for National. That's. I'm going to stick with that answer. Thank you.
Yeah. Respect her authority.
Yeah.
All the way.
Just respect the pure financial leadership of the. Sorry, I can't keep doing it.
You finished? Look, maybe after this, when we have a bit of a chat about it, I'll go and try and find. There's a clip that Craig Rennie, in his live show 2 Sundays ago, talked about, and it showed the situation with COVID.
Oh, so that's a mistake. Don't look at the rest of the world.
New Zealand,
you can't.
New Zealand couldn't be more average. Like literally in the middle of everything. I might go find it after. I know I've got it on TikTok. I might go find it to play for you. But let's keep going with Mikey.
But by then, the inflation horse had bolted.
It was another 9 months before the Reserve Bank even started to raise interest rates. So that's the big bad call. They totally misread what the state of the economy was going to mean for inflation.
What you also had was Grant Robertson putting his foot on the accelerator, borrowing and spending up a storm at the same time.
Borrowing more or less than you, Nicola? Just out of interest. Like he did such a bad job because he borrowed, but did he borrow more or less than you, Nicola? Like he borrowed, you're sure, more or less than you. More, less, more. He must have borrowed exponentially more, or else this would be a really hypocritical point. That's what I would guess.
Here's another question for Nicola.
Yeah.
How many businesses went under Robertson's tenure as finance minister during a global pandemic? How many businesses went under?
Yeah.
How many businesses have gone under now?
How many people survived?
National's been at the helm. That would be something that the finance minister would have some responsibility for, surely.
Yeah, guessing so.
As the Reserve Bank was printing money.
But this former Reserve Bank economist says the roles are clear.
It's the job of the Reserve Bank to take account of everything else that's going on in the economy. So if the government has an expansionary budget, it's the job of the Reserve Bank to tighten and to avoid that flowing into inflation.
The opposition arguing National will use it as election ammo anyway.
They're getting desperate now. They're just throwing everything out there that they possibly can. So try and, reliven up the COVID-19 conspiracy theorists.
So this isn't an economic get-out-of-jail-free card for you come election?
This is an examination of some of the most significant economic decisions that have been made in recent history.
And nobody's looked at it.
Yeah, but now's the right time. Now's the right time in election year when you're worried about potentially losing your seat.
Up as voters head to the ballot. Mikey Sherman, One News.
There you go, Joey. Oh, look, just so people know, just before we go, look, see, new title card. New title card. Finally fixed it. Finally fixed it. Sorry, keep going. Your turn.
Now, they said it's an independent inquiry. How independent? Are they going to bring Bill English back again?
I can tell you because it says it. At the
Oh,
bottom of the
have they told us? This is something I don't know.
Who will lead the review? I don't know too much about these people yet, but I'm sure it will come out. This is at the bottom of the story. I don't know how to say that. Anos, Orphanides, and David Archer have been appointed to conduct the review. Orphanides was a former governor of the Central Bank of Cyprus and a member of the Governing Council of the European Central Bank and a professor of the practice of global economics and management at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT. Archer was a former New Zealand Reserve Bank assistant governor and former head of the Central Banking Studies Unit at the Bank for International Settlements.
Okay.
So
well, without digging into these people, that sounds okay. Although central bankers leading with the Central Bank of Cyprus is pretty funny. I hope they turn around and go, you know what? That's pretty good. if they go into the election with that, yeah, it's pretty good. Not really too much you could have done otherwise. Couple of percentage points here and there. Everybody got to keep their house. Everybody kept their mortgage. You know, not too bad.
Yeah, it's just that whole. I mean, we've said this so many times. You know, how did Jacinda take down the economies of all the other countries in the world? That's really what we want to know. You know, what's going on there, and also there is a very clear pattern if you look at all over the world around COVID. Countries who opened up sooner had better bounces back by a bit. New Zealand was right in the middle of the bunch, but they also had a huge number more deaths. Countries that took longer to start back up again waited a bit more, were a bit more cautious. Yep, couple of percentage points here and there different, but saved, well, New Zealand was 20,000, we've seen the research, saved exponentially more people. So it's almost inarguable, right, that if you would have pushed to open up sooner, people financially would have been better off by a little bit, not significantly, but by a little bit, and more people would be dead. So if you're comfortable, you know, accepting that, say, yep, I accept that, I kind of have no argument with you. I doubt that this lot would accept that.
Yeah. Like, I want this stuff to be put to bed. I will hope against hope that this is a fair dealing investigation because, yeah, if it's even-handed, if it is truly independent and it's not a political hack job, Nicola Willis is right. It's good to understand these very complex things so you could learn from them, like the first Royal Commission into COVID-19. The second one, not so much, you know, because it was politically compromised.
Someone in the chat just said, yeah, the second one was a bit of a waste of time. I think people have missed. There was the first one that they participated in. There was the second one that they participated in. And then they wanted to do a third one, which was a repeat of the second one, but with cameras. So they actually went to two of them. All of the players went to two of them, and they refused to do the third one, which was the repeat of the second one with cameras. So that was the difference.
Let's be clear. If we were unlucky enough to have National at the helm for COVID, judging them on the things that they criticised the government for doing, we would have opened up early. We would have had self-quarantine with no monitoring. We would have been stacking up bodies.
Yep.
We would have had people losing their homes, their jobs. Like, when we went into the first lockdown, I remember speaking to a customer and I was like, this is pretty interesting times. Hey, you know, what are you going to do? He goes, I'm going home, I'm going to crack a bottle of wine, I'm going to lay off my workers, and I'm going to go bush. you know. And if there wasn't that safety net that Grant Robertson and the Labor government put together, there would have been mass layoffs as businesses protected themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? Mortgages and rent and food still needs to be paid and bought for. It just would have been the government directly doing it.
Yeah.
Instead, they funneled it through businesses to keep them afloat and us afloat. That was the right choice. And they did it quickly. They did it with a high trust. And that's what they're criticising. They're criticising the speed and the high levels of trust. And you know what? There's still a department in the IRD that's clawing back that money. They're still taking people to court for falsifying their records.
Yeah.
And yet this government is focused on criticising the previous government for political reasons, rather than throwing the full weight of the power of the IRD to fucking go after these people that took the piss.
Let me finish the segment by saying what I was going to show you. So this is from Craig Rennie's live. This is going to be a TikTok in the next couple of days. I've got it uploaded. You should definitely follow the Big Hairy Network on TikTok and on Twitter if you're not already. Just have a listen to this. It's only going to be a maximum of 2 minutes, probably less than that, because I think I talked to him partway through. Have a listen. This is how New Zealand fared during COVID financially.
To have drawn a graph with 37 individual inflation trajectories from 37 OECD advanced economies. And that red line you can see on the screen is New Zealand. And what you can see is that New Zealand's inflation story, both before COVID, during COVID, and after COVID, is bog standard normal. Nothing different. It is just the story of everywhere else.
So the question to ask Christopher Luxon or Nicola Willis is, you say that the last lot did so badly when it comes to inflation with with COVID. So how would you have taken this red line, which is average, which means it could have been better, could have been worse. It's what average is. What would you have done? What decisions would you have made to bring that down from a high of about 5.25 to about 5 or 4.75? Like, what would you have had to do to drop that by 0.5% or so? I mean, it looks like there's one down at about 2.5, and the next lowest is pretty close to 5. So actually, the average being, we're about 7 there. So how would you have got it down to 5? What would you have needed to do to be like the best in the world, other than this outlier, whatever this one is, other than the best in the world, which was basically 5 when we were 7? What would you have done, had to have done, and how would it have impacted us to go from 7 to 5 to be the best in the world? What would you have done? No one's asked him that question as far as I know. From memory, I might ask Craig a question about this, so let's just play for another 30 seconds.
Our inflation is neither good, bad, nor indifferent. And so,
Can I ask a question? This is my role, people. I get to be the dumb person asking questions.
Yeah.
Just so we know, can you give us I'm looking at the chart as well. I'm lucky I've got my own copy whānau, so I get a blown up version. For people who may not be able to see it quite as clearly on the screen, the ones that have that massive inflation peak, who are they?
Yes.
And also, is there a country that we're kind of like in simpatico with? Who are we like with our curve? Because they're all grey, so it's a bit hard to tell.
Oh, they've all been grayed out because otherwise there'll be thousands of lines and it'll be very hard to see.
Yeah.
But some of the countries that are very up are some of the Eastern European countries that were affected by the invasion of the Ukraine.
Gotcha.
So those are countries like Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and Poland, where they had very large inflation spikes, mainly as a consequence of gas.
Yep.
And they were reliant upon Russian electricity at that point, and that's why their inflation spiked at that particular point. In terms of countries that we look a lot like, we look like most of Europe.
Right.
We look like Canada. We look like everywhere. Frankly, we look like everywhere else. We're just an economy just bobbing around in the global inflation, like everybody else.
There you go. So that's the big bad story, whānau, about COVID and inflation, and this is what they're going to make sure they find out the answer to, and how responsible the Reserve Bank is for all of this averageness. How dare you, Reserve Bank, keep us average? This government demands we are the best. Number one, and we want to know, Reserve Bank, why you kept us average during COVID and not the best. You kept us average in our inflation while saving more people than most people in the world. How dare you? We want to be the best. You know what? I wouldn't care if another million New Zealanders died. If I could have got that inflation rate down by 1%, it would have been worth it, as long as I hadn't been one of them. But if I could have got it down from 7 to 6, if that had a cost, there is not too many lives that I would be happy to throw into the furnace to get that down from 7% to 6%. Gone. Grandma, bye grandma. Oh, no more $5 Christmas presents from grandma, but 7% to 6%.
Yeah, this 100%. Like, I love that line of questioning of like, well, what would you do different?
We said that to the local, were you here for that show? Michael Woods, I think it was. When I asked him the question, like, this is what our inflation was. I said, what would be good? Like, what would you not become? And he said, like, it was like about 1% difference. We might have been at about 6 or 6.5. And he said, like 5.25. So they were talking about 1%. So all of this is about 1% in inflation. All of it. All of this theatre is about 1%. Because if we had gone from 7 to 6, we'd be in the top third in the world. How can you complain about that for one of the smallest economies in the world? Top third. Hang on. But if I could trade off, if I could trade off another 50,000 grandparents to get down to from 6 to 5.5, I would have pulled that trigger. There's no amount of your grandparents that I wouldn't throw onto the bonfire to go from 6% to 5.5.
They've had a good run.
Fuck them, man. Like, honestly, I'm sorry I'm being obviously slightly silly, but in my silliness, this is the reality. More dead people, lower inflation. Who's dead people? Well, COVID hit exponentially the unvaccinated and the elderly and the lower socioeconomic people that couldn't really isolate so well. So the idiots, the anti-vaxxers, the poor people and the elderly who are now just taking from the government and not giving back. Doesn't sound like National's core constituency, does it?
No. The other thing that drives me batty about this, and this has been consistent from the run up to the last election right through until now, is this seeming. It seems like they're completely unable to recognise that we are one country in a global event. We're a trading nation that has to import a lot of its stuff because we're an island miles away from anywhere. There is no version of a global pandemic or a global event that disrupts trade to the point that COVID did that was going to be business as normal for us. Just no version. But they never mention it. It's always very specifically, Labour did this. Grant Robertson did this. They fucked with the Reserve Bank, and that's what caused all of this. It's treating us like idiots.
Bring out your day.
That does sound like Nicola Willis. Gotta keep the inflation down. Bring out your man.
I mean, this is industry, this is industry catching, you've created a job, having someone drive the truck around to bring out your dead too. Job creators, this National lot, aren't they? Honestly, I didn't realise I was going to get so pissed off in tonight's show, but I'm feeling quite pissy right about now. It's like, and I'm feeling pissy as well, and maybe I'm being a little bit precious, but these questions need to get asked of these people, and no one in the media is doing it. And we don't get access. Now, I've never said we are entitled to access. Then, okay, we don't get it. So someone else ask these fucking questions.
Steal our questions.
Steal our questions. Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, just give us a wee hat tip. Someone on Discord's just flicked this to me. And it's just like Australia had maybe a slightly better result with inflation.
Yep.
6.6 versus 7.2. But they had twice the deaths. They had twice the death ratio. Look at that, 40 versus 80 deaths per 100,000.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. That's the goals that we have in government and the choices that they would make. And we have Brooke Van Velden and her famous quote, "We've never put a higher value on human life as a negative."
Yeah.
She said that out loud.
It just, it makes me think of the, there's a little bit of a tangent here, but bear with me, baby birds. It just makes me think of Charlie Kirk, who talked about, some people are going to have to be shot and killed so we can get our Second Amendment rights. It's like, yeah, because Luxon, who did you have that died? Willis, who did you have that died? Because I know people who had people who died. Not many of them are living in the expensive streets. There are some, but not many. Yeah, I'm prepared to sacrifice as many elderly New Zealanders as I need to get that inflation down from 7.2 to 6.5. Do your job, media. Do your fucking jobs.
Yeah. Look, this is such a...
I like that one. Well, it's because he's pickled with whiskey. He's not going anywhere.
He went home and immediately made his body a hostile environment for foreign organisms. I mean, this is a question, right? Why did the Reserve Bank drop rates to 0.25 while the government pumped stimulus into the economy? Did they need to drop rates?
Fair question.
Yeah. That's a fair question.
I love that image, by the way. Have you noticed that image?
Yeah,
it's Trump and Epstein.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's very good.
It's amazing. I mean, the end result is it stimulated the economy. It kept people in their jobs. It kept people's homes and mortgages. And it meant that businesses didn't fold. I mean, I get it. Like, all of this analysis is fiddling around the edges because maybe the Reserve Bank didn't drop the cash rate that far. What effect would that have? I would like to know. Craig is not here.
Well, but that means that this inquiry is not necessarily invalid.
Yeah.
But excuse us if we question the timing.
Do we trust it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this another Bill English on housing?
The timing? Absolutely not. We do not trust the timing. Do we trust the people running it? More on that in a wee bit. But as far as that question goes about, why did the Reserve Bank do this and what was the result? Well, we know what the result was. And we know that tracked against other countries, we're bang in the fucking middle. So what choices are we making? The Reserve Bank doesn't do this. More people lose their jobs. The government has to pay more unemployment in the middle of the COVID thing. Money still has to get paid. Would that have a dramatic effect on our interest rates? Would it have insulated us from what is happening overseas? From the interest rates that affect our foreign trade? We're fiddling on the edges. And we're talking about potentially trading lives for fractions of a percentage point.
It's actually, Chewy, there's probably analysis that has been done or could be done that goes for every quartile, for every 0.25, for every 25 basis points would cost X amount of people. There's probably that research could be done if it hasn't been done already. Think about it that way. I wonder how many people it is for every 25 basis points. Because you know what? Like, and I said this from the start, like we had higher inflation than possibly we needed, but we also had more people alive. I'm okay with that trade-off. Like, I'm okay with it. Others aren't.
Yeah.
And if you're not, right, if you're not okay, then you have to be okay with, we should have had lower inflation and more deaths. You can't, they're the only two options. Higher inflation, fewer people dead. Lower inflation, more people dead. I'm okay. I sleep okay at night going, inflation a smidge higher, but still average and more people alive. I'm cool with that.
Yeah. Now, talking about the people running the inquiry.
Have we had news?
Friend of the show, Mountain Tui, has done an excellent piece on his Substack, and I encourage everybody, I've skimmed it, but I encourage everybody to go and have a read of this. Did Nicola Willis just appoint Atlas Network Connections to her surprise RBNZ COVID inquiry? Now, we've talked about Willis's links to Atlas. She's filthy on it. And the thing that also hasn't been mentioned about yesterday's debacle about the LNG, her dad's an oil and gas lawyer.
Yeah.
For fuck's sake. I like this gormless fucking thumb look he's got there. So yes, Mountain Tui's done all the work here, and it seems like these people that have been appointed to it have strong ties to Atlas or Atlas affiliated organizations. So if this has been found out on the same day, what do you think the chances are?
All right, we will go deeper into that over the next couple of days. Whānau. Of course, we've got one more show this week. We'll have a look. Maybe we'll throw some stuff Detective Rogers' way. He seems to be good at the deep dives at the minute. So let's do that.
He does know how to read. He's the one of us that knows how to read.
He was hired to read, not to lead. Is that right? Is that the saying? I don't know. Yeah, there we go. And NZ Doom, Tui did some digging into their most incredible Substack. Love your work, Mountain Tui, if you're out there. Yeah, I've tried to get Mountain Tui on a few times, but I have communications, never spoken to, because I think Mountain Tui kind of needs or wants to hide their identity.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Fun fact, the reason that he has pictures on a Substack is for me. I like pictures.
Yeah. Because then you can look at the pictures while all the grown-ups are reading the words. Is that the
correct
story?
Correct.
Nice.
I just have my sippy box and I look at the pictures.
Not a month ago, a natural disaster. What was that about learning from the past? Businesses going under because they spent their lifelines over COVID and are running out of credit. And finally from Mr. Arvids, oh, sorry, that was Overhead Rover. Another one from Mr. Arvids. How much does it cost you to send a text to Cyprus? To there from Arvids. Exaldia says less businesses closed during a global pandemic, less unemployment during a global pandemic. One term of a national is worse than a global pandemic. That's the other thing though as well, because what's happening now, and this is sliding doors, we can't know the answer to this, is this government is going to blame Labour, the previous lot, for quote unquote ruining the economy, but without the decisions they've made. If a government had to come in and continued the path, yeah, I'm not saying it was perfect, making some tweaks, but continue that path at the last lot, I suspect, and we don't have Craig here, but I suspect we would have had a much softer landing than we did, rather than ripping everything off and making it, go away immediately. But you know what? It might have been still might have been a slower recovery still, but look what's happening with inflation at the moment. Hey, whānau, it's going up. Under these guys, inflation is currently going up, unemployment is going up. It's not good.
Our government and finance minister decided against all expert advice. That might as well be their fucking slogan. It's not back on track, it's against expert advice. To do a real big austerity. They wanted to paint the image that our government is too big, we're wasting too much money on the useless backroom cretins that just take a wage and do fucking nothing. And it definitely wasn't austerity, but it was. They crashed the economy, they laid off thousands and thousands of people, they set fire to projects that were halfway, 2/3 done. They just evaporated all of that money. They crashed the economy in our capital city and right throughout the country. They've learned nothing from other countries that tried to do austerity. And then their big problem, do you know what their big problem is now? Their forecast tax take isn't high enough.
I wonder why.
Because all of the people out of work, all of the businesses that are closing, all of the businesses that have lost their income because there's so many people terrified of whether they're going to lose their job. So we're not going out to the restaurants and we're not going to buy the special things. We're just going to hold on to our money because we might need it. Because the factories that have closed, because the power prices have gone up. All of these things can be laid like a half-eaten bird that your cat has dragged in at 3 o'clock in the morning at the feet of Nicola Willis. She did this.
And you have to enter this conversation that you've just said also, because compounding all of that is, and also emptying our accounts back to landlords and emptying our accounts back to big tobacco. And so not only is the tax takedown, but our savings, unquote, unquote, have also gone. So they've given away any resources or reserves that we had, and now they're not getting enough income in it. It's like a person who's just committed to buy their next house and their mortgage has gone up, but all of a sudden their income's gone down. And so they are fucked. And that's exactly where we're at. Hence, Nicola Willis borrowing more than all of the budgets under Grant Robertson bar one.
She definitely doesn't want anybody repeating that. We should not repeat that.
Okay, I'll keep it to
myself. It upsets her. It upsets her.
Yeah.
That the Grant Robertson is the money printer, the madman that put global inflation through the roof. But Nicola Willis, who has spent and borrowed more, strong fiscal hands.
Craig,
very, very strong.
One of Craig's points the other day, and I don't know if it was when he was with us or on Sunday night, was government spending has not dropped at all. So this government who are talking about, tight belts, cutting back, the actual outgoing that this government is spending, how much money we the people are spending via our government has not changed one iota. So all of these people that they've cut, all of the less tax revenue that they have, all of the reserves they now got less of course they're borrowing more. And of course they're having to go, well, it's not a tax, it's a levy, because they don't have the reserves to do these ludicrous ideas that they shouldn't be doing anyway, but they haven't got the reserves to do it. So they got to borrow, or they got to charge.
I want the parliamentary press corps to just change tack a little bit here when they're confronted with these broad statements from Nicola Willis. And I understand, you went and did the big university book learnings and you want to ask a smart question. I don't think you need to anymore. You just let her say her piece, and then after she said it, you go, really? Are you sure about that?
Let's get some more chats. We've got a couple more stories to do here. Alex says, if it comes out in the report just before the election that our economic handling was actually good, well, depends. We've got another bill English on our mind. We'll see. Then it could be a Muldoon level political blunder. You're correct. It could be. Those hypotheses are accurate, but they are just hypotheses. A billboard needs that graph. Yep, maybe a T-shirt as well. I guarantee, says Alex, if Labor had hypothetically prioritised inflation over lives, then National would have called Labor murderous thugs. It's a lose-lose. Yeah, then they would have played all their in church Catholic Christian base saying, we're the people of empathy and yada, 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 yada. If National were in charge, says ballot, it's in the ballot, would they have implemented a rent freeze as some landlords gave 60-day notice to raise rents in the lead to the lockups? And Citizen Gold says, I'd like to see the next government have an inquiry into Willis and every claim that experts were consulted. Yeah, that's an interesting one, actually. There must be I guess could you do an Official Information Act on please show us all the experts? Perhaps you could. Yes.
Just before we go, quick little palate cleanser before the next story.
Yes.
We mentioned Simeon Brown trying to peer over a fence or...
No, it was over the bar. We're all at Waitangi standing around the bar and everyone looked down and Simeon was doing this. Over the bar.
He's probably waiting for his...
Can I have a sarsaparilla, please, sir? Yeah. Sir, can you give me a sarsaparilla, please?
So my little palate cleanser story is this. There is a company in Central Otago. It's an orchard. They run all of their stuff with electric vehicles.
Cool.
The whole production is electrified. They're a perfect example of electrification of a business that used to use fossil fuels, and now they don't. In association with rewiring Aotearoa, which I thoroughly suggest everybody follow, they drove an electric truck from Central Otago up to Parliament full of cherries to give to the MPs. The only reason I'm mentioning this in conjunction with Simeon Brown is, I'm not actually sure if they do this anywhere else, but here in Dunedin, we have an event called Special Rigs for Special Kids.
Yeah, big rigs for special kids. Big rigs.
Is that something that happens in other towns?
I'd never heard of it before. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's a nice event because kids like big trucks, but
Just explain what it is. They go around the loop in Dunedin, like around the Octagon and out to some of the suburbs in the big like 18-wheelers and stuff, and the kids get to ride in the rigs and pull the horns, and then a huge number of people line the streets. Because they're out there and they're kids that are like they're like
waving at kids having the best time.
Yeah, but it's also not just any old kid jumps in. It's like kids who are in hospital and kids who are who are troubled, and kids who are the Make-A-Wish kind of thing. It's a wicked event. Wicked as in good, not wicked as in ee. Sorry, go.
Anyway, that's a weird tangent that I went on, and I don't really have a reason for it.
Oh wow!
I don't know why it sprung to mind.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something to do.
That's an electric rig.
That is an electric truck.
Wow.
And that is a special little boy with no driver's license in the truck. Look at how happy he is. Everybody loves sitting in a big truck, even if you lack the ability to drive it.
I want to drive that truck.
Yeah,
why do they let 12-year-olds in
because you have a driver's license. You can drive that truck. I can drive that truck.
I think he started wearing long pants the day before. So I got one.
You can't see the phone book that he's sitting on.
I got one as well. You ready? Here's my one. I made a joke about big kids and that kind of stuff, but I'm going to show you a picture of kids, and they're not big kids. They're not 18 and 19-year-olds. They're not big kind of strapping rugby player kids. I reckon that they're maybe year 11 at most, right? These kids. I mean,
that's shopped. That's photoshopped. Come on.
You think so?
Surely.
Oh, maybe.
I can't tell. That's got to be shopped.
There's another one, but I've just closed it all down because I thought one would be funny enough. Hang on. There's another one. I'll do another one, then you tell me. It's the kids in the other one are a little bit bigger. But not that much. Oh shit, that one there. But they're not massive. We're not talking about first 15 rugby players there.
That one's a bit believable. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
Surely. My favourite is still that one where he's sitting in the back seat.
With a lollipop.
Yeah, like they're going down to McDonald's because he's got a good report card.
Going for a drive with Dad.
Anyway, that's my palate cleanser. Also, look into electric cherries and rewiring Aotearoa. That's good.
Yeah. All right. Good. Hey, let's got a couple of stories to go. One of them is going to be a shortish one, though it does definitely need more attention than what we're going to give it tonight, and it's the State of the Nation from the Salvation Army. Let's have a look. This is only 52 seconds. TVNZ only thought this required 52 seconds. Let's see what they said about the State of the Nation.
Family violence is on the rise nationally, according to the
Sorry, I think this is the one from when Labor was in, because there's some bad things happening in the country. And I'm told that only bad things happen under Labor, and everything now is hunky-dory.
Salvation Army reaching its highest level since 2018. The charity State of the Nation report says frontline police attend a family harm incident every 3 minutes. They recorded more than 170,000 incidents last year alone. That's up 47% from 2016.
It's a sign of stress on our communities. It's a sign of the pressures that people are under. We see the pressures around, as I've said, a lack of income, around housing that's not adequate, that's unaffordable for many communities.
The report warns many victims continue to face barriers reporting family violence, and police data may only be capturing part of the picture.
Yeah, so pretty shocking, yeah? Sorry, I'm just doing 7 things at once now.
Yeah, that's an absolute classic thing, that family violence goes up in times of economic stress. You know, maybe the main worker loses their job, you know, money's not going as far, they're struggling to make rent or mortgage payments, they can't buy enough food. That stress comes out of people.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm being asked by a small furry thing if they can do something because they've heard noises upstairs. We're not finished the story, by the way, I'm just interrupting. Are you ready? Would you like to go? You can go.
Go.
So here's another part of this conversation. Now, I have got the actual report. This is actually the summary of the report. The report is 104 pages. The summary is 12 pages. I've had a bit of a look through it, but what I thought I'd do is just scroll down and I haven't prepared this because there are some things that are like, I think violent crime is down. There are some positives in there as well. But let's just scroll down because I wanted to have a look at some of the graphs that are in here. Okay, so this one is hospitalizations due to assault, abuse or neglect. Upward trend. Okay, children and youth. Number of children in benefit households. Oh, on the increase. Okay. A percentage of young people aged 15 to 24 years reporting high or very high psychological distress. Oh, look at that. It's trending right up. That's interesting, isn't it? And almost no matter where you go, I'm not even looking. I'll go down a few pages and then I'm going to stop here. Adults experience crime and the number of offences in the past 12 months. Well, it seems pretty static. Fair enough. Percentage of adults experience at least one family violence offence. Well, that's trending up. So they're just percentage of prison population on remand as of July 30th. I'm not sure what the light grey is. Remand conviction, new category. Well, maybe trending down. That's not interesting. It's just percentage of consumer arrears 2020 to 2025. Consumer arrears going up. That would be debt. I'm assuming should be another way to say consumer arrears. Just it goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on of bad numbers. So Mountain Tui again, two shout outs in one show, did that graph on his or her, I think it was TikTok, wasn't it, or Twitter, about when National says, ram raids are down, and like it feels like every other marker almost to do with crime and society being in a worse place is up. Yeah. But ram raids are down, so we win, says Luxon.
I mean, that comes back to that slogan that we've talked about, and Craig keeps mentioning. Does it feel like we're back on track?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter what the stats are, for the majority of New Zealanders, it does not feel like we're going forwards.
Yeah, and I think that's actually, it's interesting because Chippy talked about the election will be won on the vibe and like the vibe of society, how things feel. And I remember last election, we were constantly talking about these guys have no answers, talking about national, they've just got vibes. And I've been thinking about this for the past week or so, but I think what the sense of what I'm getting from that is like, it might not show technically that New Zealand's in a very bad place, but lots of people feel a lot worse off. And if you feel a lot worse off, then the numbers don't really mean anything, even if they show average, because it's how you're feeling. It's that you're not going out to the movies. It's that you're not letting your kids, you haven't got $20 to give to your kids for a Friday night because they want to go get fish and chips with their mates or whatever. And if it feels bad to you, then it is bad. And it feels like there's a lot of people at the moment saying, man, this feels really bad, which means for those people and for them around them, it is really bad, no matter what the numbers say. And then if you do, and we've seen this a lot, this happened with Raori's conversation last week and happened with Craig this week, when you break down some of those communities, if you break down unemployment's 5.4, but what was Craig saying? Actually, it's on his podcast tomorrow. So that's what it's about. If you actually work out the unemployment is only people who are actively seeking work and can't find it. So if you've given up and you've stopped actively seeking, but you're not employed, you're not counted as unemployed. If you're underemployed, so you've got one shift at a supermarket in the weekend, you're working 8 hours, right? Because that's all you could get. You're off the unemployment numbers. So actually, if you look at all the people who are underemployed, who have given up, and I know what some on the right are going to say, oh, lazy bludger, giving up. When you have to put 100 CVs in and you don't even get a call back, I get it. Enough's enough at some point. There's no jobs out there for you. Enough's enough. I get it. You might be looking at more like 8 or 9% unemployment and or underemployment. So yeah, it feels to a lot of people, it feels like a 20% unemployment, even though it might only be 5. Look at Māori youth, for example. They're like at 20 something, I think. Māori in general, I think, are at about 12. So to a lot of people, it feels a lot worse, even though the numbers are pretty bad. It feels even worse than what the numbers are saying. So for them, it is worse. Chewy.
Yeah, people that have had to drop a shift Like they've been given the choice by their business. Hey, look, we've all got to cut hours, so you're not working a full 40-hour week, but you're not unemployed.
Well, here's another one.
That is chronic.
Just learned. Didn't know this. You're considered to be employed if you're volunteering for an hour a week.
What? Yeah, we get you off that stat. That's all we want. Good job.
If that's true. And I don't say if it's true
Far out.
because I'm distrusting of yours, because I like to check everything myself. I'll have a look at that. If that's also the case, then that's shocking. Let's get to a couple of chats and we'll get to our last story, and then we'll say so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, goodbye. Public media, public funded media doesn't need to chase clicks. Exactly. That's why TVNZ and RNZ should have been brought together. They should be one big conglomerate. They should also repopulate. They shouldn't have lost jobs. They should repopulate the local community. RNZ here in Dunedin, I think, might have 2 or 3 staff, and that's about it. You know, there should be a show going out of Dunedin. There should be one going out of Christchurch. There should be a show going out of Wellington, out of Hamilton. There should be local shows on RNZ. You know, there should be, and I'm not just looking for a job for myself. I saw what you did there. But they should have brought it all under one umbrella. It should be in a BBC style. And exactly right. Don't do surveys. Don't need to do surveys. Who gives a crap? Doesn't matter, right? You just broadcast the news. Just the news, or opinion. Or if it's like, I think BBC Two is a music channel, isn't it? You know, some of the BBC channels are music channels, or just the music. Just fund it. Do it. Best way to do it. Yeah. Peter Symes says, back on track, we're in the trolley problem tied to it. We're in the trolley problem tied to it. And the guys at the switch are picking between us and a bag of cash. And Overred Rover says, NZ knacked making unemployment and blaming unemployed. Yep. All right. Bring out your dead. That was a pretty good drop. Guess who hasn't come back? Little snob.
Bring out your dead.
Okay, we needed, because I was going to go into Gaza in Sydney, and I don't think we can quite go into it from that conversation. So what can we do instead? Like the jokes we just made, I said.
I've got something we can break it up.
Yeah, go on. Break it up for me.
So one of the things that I am following at the moment is it is a kakapo breeding season.
Oh, cool.
Yep. So if you followed the last couple like I have, we've had bumper breeding seasons for the kakapo, and we've gone from almost none to having a couple of hundred of the little buggers. The people that are really following it quite closely, though, sometimes they post some amazing stuff. So I just saw this video.
It looks like a pizza topping.
What?
No.
Weird.
Shut up. I'm shutting up. Yeah.
So this is Andrew Digby on Blue Sky. The flightless kakapo usually nest underground. Yesterday, we found the coolest nest we've ever seen. Whetū was 3 meters above ground in a hollowed out tree. And it's always this image when they get found.
Full screen.
Where is he?
Full screen. Hello, mate.
Do you have an appointment?
That's so cool.
But yeah, I just love them. The little moss chicken. There we go. Hey. So yeah, they're the best.
Cool. I have a real soft spot for birds. Like I used to go to Great Barrier every now and again, and there's so much life over there. There's also lots of pests. You'd see all the rabbits out on the lawns and that. I haven't been to Stewart Island. Anyone's got any contacts with Stewart Island? Shout out. It sounds really weird, but one of the only reasons I want to go to Stewart Island because I want to go to Stewart Island. But one of the reasons I want to go is I'm reliably informed, and someone in the chat will probably go, yeah, that's true in a minute, is that behind the pub, there's a rugby field, and the Kiwi.
I told you this.
Others have as well. The Kiwis just come out on the rugby field at dusk. And it's one of the only reasons I want to go there. I also, every time I go up to Central, and anytime I go up kind of through that area and through the hills, or I've been a couple of times over to Te Anau and down through Milford Sound. Milford Sound? Through the Homer Tunnel? Is that right, Milford Sound? No, that doesn't sound right.
Yep.
Is that right? Sorry, I was spent some time in Milford last week, up in Auckland. But yeah, anyway, I'm always looking out to see what birds are going to be landing or flying. It's yeah. Just I want to see a kiwi in the wild in real life. And in fact, going to Waitangi, actually, they have it on the bridges, like no dogs allowed, kiwi habitat. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, like they've reintroduced kiwi into the wild on the outskirts of Wellington.
Yeah. Cool,
that's crazy, and it's working, which is
actually
awesome.
Peter, I haven't been to the Eco Sanctuary for a long time. I probably haven't been for 5 years. You have just reminded me. So there's this very cool Eco Sanctuary out above Port Chalmers in Dunedin. Like it's up the hill and over, and it's there. And what's happened is kind of North Dunedin and the areas from that and across down through the harbour, the bird population life is just starting to do this. And there are people who are seeing native parrots turning up now, and it's because the Eco Sanctuary, it's pretty big, but they just start to spread and they start to spread and they start to spread. And man, every time I see a possum squashed on the ground, I go, yes, more birds. I had the most fascinating conversation I've ever had, Chewy, with I'm not saying this in a bad way, but he was like a vegan activist. You never do any harm to any animals. And I used to talk to him about, sandflies and that. And did you know that there's parts of New Zealand where you're not allowed to kill sandflies because in the native parks, you're not allowed to damage native animals, and there's a native sandfly. Anyway, I said to him, mate, if I could click my fingers and have every rat and stoat and, wild cat and anything just be eliminated like that, and birds, invasive birds, if I could just click my fingers and they all fell out of the sky and they all died in a second to protect our native bird life, I would do that in a heartbeat. And he said no. He said he couldn't do it. And I guess fair enough, that's his thing. But I'm like, dude, the time travel, everyone goes to time travel conversation. I'd go back and kill Hitler. I'd go and see the birth of Jesus. Mate, if I could time travel, I'd come back here like 800 years ago. I just want to see that. I want to see what it was like then. That would
you
be
can see a little bit
amazing.
of it if you go down to the Catlins. And yeah, Stewart Island's a really good example. They've got a completely pest-free island that is just crawling with birds. There's so many of them.
I think the island of the Hauraki Gulf is called Tiritiri Matangi. I think that's similar. They've got a pest-free island that's full with birds. Yep. Sorry, dude.
Someone was saying, "Are you sure you don't mean kaka in Wellington?" No, I mean kiwi. 200 of them.
Wow. Very cool.
So, I mean, that's crazy. And while we're talking about it, it's not all good news with native birds. I had my own run-in just the other day.
I can see you're looking at. I can see the picture you've got down the bottom. We need to set on screen.
Oh, I haven't added it. I haven't done it. I've bollocksed it all up. Hang on. Oh, it's so smooth, Pat. Isn't this good that we don't have any budget?
It's just like a bought one.
Look at this. There we go. Smooth.
Well,
what could have done all of this?
You little shit. Big shit. You can just see those big plump things. Why probably Māori found them a delicacy. They look juicy.
They look tasty.
I could imagine.
Illegal teagle.
I'm not. What are the birds we had down in Invercargill when we went to the marae? We had a bird there that Māori hunt, and they're still allowed to.
Oh, mutton birds.
I wasn't a fan. Love the hospitality.
Yeah, they're not for me.
No.
My
gotta
cousin
try.
loves
Gotta
them.
try it. Gotta try it once.
Love
All right.
them.
Hey, let's stop jabberwockying on, or else we'll never get to the end of the show, and people will have
You
left
wanted
us
a
because-
tangent. I gave you a tangent.
Well, because they're here to see the lighthearted stuff like Gaza and Australia. So of course this happened over the weekend, and we talked a bit about this last night. These are the protests in Sydney. One of the most shocking things about this, and I think Chewy, you vocalised this last night beautifully. Come to our country, expect protest. Not come to our country, we will oppress our people with new laws in place just whilst you're here, so we can pepper spray them and beat the shit out of them. Now, last night I was saying, I've seen some really horrible footage around. There is going to be some horrible footage coming up, but I thought it important to show you some of the stuff the Australian police were doing. And some of it is very, very, very violent. This is Al Jazeera, so this is not going to be the worst of it. But I'm going to show you a clip which is pretty horrible on the way as well. Let's have a look.
On the streets of Sydney, a visit by
Can I just say, when I say it really horrible, like, it's not someone being shot or blood, but it's pretty horrible.
Israeli president has sparked public anger.
Herzog is not welcome here!
Isaac Herzog is in Australia this week at the invitation of Prime Minister Anthony Albanese.
He has incited genocide. He said there's no innocents in Gaza, including babies and children.
Just that. Just that. No innocents in Gaza. Like, it's the theory of the black swan. I've talked about this before. The theory of the black swan goes, all I need to do to disprove the statement all swans are white is provide one black swan. So the theory of the black, so I find there's not one single baby, not one that's innocent, like not one. It's madness. It's utter madness.
I just don't think someone like that should come here.
There's a heavy security presence on the streets of Australia's major cities this week. Protesters in Sydney had planned to march through the central business district on Monday. But with restrictions in place that also granted police expanded powers, there were limitations on where they could go and hefty fines for not complying with police orders.
Do you think that those police have is there the right proportion of moustaches to men? Like, because within the police, isn't that a part of their ranks? You have to have a certain number with a moustache to be an official squad.
Those are police issue moustaches.
Yeah. Yeah. I do love that in Australia they wear these caps that make them all look like trainees. None of these people are actual police officers. They're all just trainee police officers.
Do you know what concerns me about this? My cousin is a police officer in the Melbourne area. We don't talk anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I wonder if he's in there somewhere.
Oh, this is Sydney, but I think this is Sydney. But
is it Sydney?
Knows? I'm pretty sure this is Sydney.
He's in Victoria, so yeah.
We'll keep going.
Police pepper sprayed some demonstrators as they attempted to march. Some
and each other for the looks of it.
Oh, the police officer got done. That's not fair. I mean, look, he's wiping his eyes too, having a little cry.
Some protesters accused police of using excessive force.
I was peacefully protesting.
Absolutely did.
I was pulled out of the crowd by a police officer who then hit me.
Herzog says he came to pay his respects following a mass shooting in December, which targeted a Hanukkah event at Sydney's Bondi.
And Chewie, I think you were right last night. A representation from the Jewish community from Israel is not necessarily the wrong thing. It was a massacre of Jewish people. The Jewish community wanted to see some of the Jewish community would have got comfort out of some of their leaders being there, a leader being there. Obviously some wouldn't, because there was a sign there about Jewish people wanting these guys to go to The Hague. So that's understandable, but not to steal your point from last night. But yes, please come and grieve with your people. You will get protested. This is democracy.
Yep.
That's the bit I think is bad. Like would Helen Clark or Jacinda in the same situation have asked over the British president or prime minister, whichever he is? Maybe, maybe not. But you can make a case for it. You know, that's something you can make a case for him being there for these reasons. You know, if it had been an American embassy or an American workplace that was shut up asking the Americans official to come over from America, you make a case for it. But it's the whole, and we're going to change the laws of our lands temporarily to violently attack our people. Now come on over. That's the part.
Beach. The two gunmen killed 15 people. Herzog began his visit at the site of the shooting, meeting with survivors, and spoke at a community event attended by family members of the shooting victims.
We've come here not simply to tell you that we are with you, but to show you that we are with you.
It was a message that was rejected by some who said Herzog should never have been invited to Australia.
Inviting this man here at this time, conflating issues that have nothing to do with each other, just an appalling abdication of responsibility and humanity.
In September last year, a United Nations independent commission of inquiry found Herzog had incited the commission of genocide, a crime under international human rights law. Rights group Amnesty International says welcoming Herzog undermines Australia's commitment to justice and accountability in the face of Israel's ongoing genocide against Palestinians in Gaza. Jessica Washington, Al Jazeera.
Okay, so I might flip-flop. When you put the case before you like that, it's like, no. I mean, as I was listening to that, I was thinking, Luxon was challenged that if Netanyahu set foot in New Zealand, what would he do? And he said something along the lines of, well, the international court has said he should be arrested. So actually, I'll still say you could make a case for why he was invited, but I actually agree that he shouldn't have been invited. Just make that clear. So I guess I was playing debate bro there for a second, thinking, yeah, you can see why, but actually convicted or accused of war crimes by the United Nations. Yeah, okay. I see that's because I'm so wishy-washy, Chewy. I can flip-flop as quickly as that. Although in my own defence, I didn't say I'm happy to have him here. I could see a case. Yeah, that's shocking, actually.
It's a difficult one, isn't it?
I've done the full gambit. I'll throw it to you now.
One of the major Australian Jewish organisations went on record and said that they didn't want him to come. They didn't want him anywhere near this. So yeah, I mean, I think there is, notwithstanding that he is a war crimer and should be arrested for war crimes, like in that general situation of like, we have a controversial foreign leader coming here. Should we hide our own citizens that are unhappy with him? You should never do that. You should never do it. And you should expose that person to go, this is the depth of feeling that we have amongst our populace about what you are doing.
Yeah, and they're allowed to have those feelings. And they're allowed to
have those feelings. It might not be the official position of the government, but, we can't just wade into them, start decking people, start arresting Muslims at prayer in the streets. There were some pretty overt displays of violence from the police over there that should be investigated.
Let's have a look at that. I mean, let's now get onto that. Now, this is from The Guardian. The Guardian actually has put the warning up as well. Some may find this distressing. I'm echoing that. Now, just again, there's no blood or there's no guns or you're not going to see someone die. But this is what the police, this is the video I saw in the weekend that made me go, holy crap. This is now, the laws have been changed temporarily to, I believe, make this okay, make this legal, what they're about to do. Let's have a look. And they've already, you can see we're starting off with, they've already got a young man, very slight, look at those toothpicks of the legs. He's not a big dude on the ground. Yeah, I'll leave it there and push play. Now, he is resisting, obviously, but when someone is resisting who's that small with 12 police officers around him, do you really need to start punching him in the face and kidnaps? That would be my question.
He is at that point immobilized.
Yeah. So punches to the head, punches to the head.
1, 2, 3, 4,
knee on
5,
the head,
6,
punches to the
7,
side, punches
8,
to the
9,
side,
10,
kidney
11,
punch, kidney punch,
12,
kidney punch,
13,
other kidney,
14,
other kidney,
15,
other kidney.
16. Whoa! 16 punches.
Yeah.
From a gloved hand that'll have reinforcement on the knuckles.
Yeah. So, as we said, pretty confronting. Warnings were given.
Have you got the one of the office worker?
No, I don't have anything else. I could Google it. What am I looking for?
There is an office worker who may have been part of the protest, or maybe he was just there. But there's a police officer with there's a bicycle on the ground, and he's pushed this guy, and he's got tangled in the bicycle, and has kind of fallen towards the police officer, and then 4 other officers just jump him.
don't think I've got that. I'm on YouTube right now. I can't see it. But anyway, you get the idea. It's just, yeah. And I'll say it again. The biggest part about this, obviously, there's now a big question about the war criminal coming to the country, even though I still say you can find a case. But to have that, but the biggest part is, for me at least, is this country going, oh, g'day, mate. Yeah, we'll change our laws so our police officers can brutally assault people who want to vocalize their opposition to this. So, yeah.
I found it.
Okay.
If we want it, hang on one sec. Clumsy.
While you're doing that, let me just put this back up because there's more. Here's like a group of them, of the assaults going on. Someone mentioned ground and pound before, which is the MMA kind of vibe.
Remember, we've had our protest laws changed in the last couple of years as well. Yeah, so I mean, I guess the best thing is here that what we just saw is not an isolated incident. I'll pop the one that I've got up.
Yep, 100%. I'll get rid of me. Why do you keep putting me back up when I take it down?
There we go. There we go. So this is found this on Reddit. Hands up, blue shirt, pulled and tangled, and then
really loud, by the way. Wow. Shady as all hell. Shady as all hell.
Yeah.
All right, team. That's pretty much us for the night. Is there any supers or anything to get to? Anything else you want to add to the end of the show?
No super chats in the wings. It's been a good show tonight.
What? How dare there be no super chats? What the hell is going on? Are you okay? Are you okay to sit out the credits, or do you need to go? Are you gonna go wee wees? Like, is there a? Do you need to do potty before we play them?
No, I drilled a comfort hole in the bottom of my chair. I'm all good.
As soon as you said drilled out, I was uncomfortable where this conversation was going.
As well, you should be.
All right, Whānau. Now we've got the entrepreneurs from Whangarei coming on tomorrow night to talk about that new system of employment websites. So that's coming on tomorrow night. There's some other things perhaps on the boil as well. And other than that, we will, I guess, catch you tomorrow night. That's sort of what we're about. Oh, no. I haven't got the right thing ready. Hang on. I need that. I need that.
Well, I'll leave with a final message while we pad for time. Rage Against the Machine were right about everything.
Yeah. Yeah. How true that was. All right, guys. We'll catch you tomorrow, I reckon, eh?
Help us settle a debate, whether it be thoughtful or funny, even if we're all creatures of hate. It's a fine line that we're walking together. For better, push aside the temptation to berate. Let's take a note of the corners we stand in. As many points as the hairs on my chinny chin chin. When the news that we're
That's a very interesting point. Aussie police doing IDF work overseas.
Yeah, 100%.
for rewards, while the many have to work at what they can't afford, and the rest of us ain't paying attention, or maybe have questions we're too worried to mention. Other media is still dwelling on trivial facts, vetting peas from the rice and the mice from the rats, and picking and choosing a war path to run, and linking ourselves with the hill to die on. It's gotta come down to a welcoming vibe, with an A and a self and a higher in mind. All heavily, neither this way or that, and we'll be analyzed by what you impact. With the evil in the world trying to mess with your head, and you're sitting on the couch, you're thinking chivalry's dead. Each night, 2 nights, they're gonna sing you to bed. It's Big Hairy News.
That's it for me, Whānau. Just remember, we can probably hope to, fingers crossed, have some new merch for tomorrow night. Certainly one. We're working on a couple others as well. But tune in for tomorrow night for that. Chewy, anything from you, sir?
Yes, I'm going to give you guys some music homework. Check out a band called Dead Pioneers. They are Native American punk rock. They have a new song out called Nazi Teeth, which seems to be appropriate for the vibe.
Talk to you tomorrow night, whānau. Be safe, be well. We'll catch you then. Catch you tomorrow night from 9. Hooroo!
Cheers, fam.